Oh, good.
Back again, back on the horse.
Yeah. I'll start again.
Yeah, so where are we actually? Whoa.
Right, what do you want to know?
Oh, it's going on a little bit. Let's. Are you okay? Internet connection. You went a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, where were we? We were in an. We've been to Kerala. Is it correct? Kerala. We've been to Kerala.
Yeah.
And we've been to Portugal. We began in the doll's house. We've been all kinds of places.
I think I've just been talking about I've got a few different projects kind of vaguely on the go at the moment. And it's just kind of, I'm supposedly doing a project in Manchester Central Library.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to give me access to their storerooms and whatever they've got.
That's so lucky.
So the idea with that is to just, because I use my iPad for everything. So I take all the photographs, I do everything on my iPad, everything. And I try to keep it as simple as possible. So I'll just go in and play about with all the stuff I can find, and then bring the pad back home, and then start playing with the images and put them together. And I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do. And I don't know what the results are going to be. You're just going to have to trust me. And people quite often say, "Okay, we trust you." So that's one project in Manchester Central Library.
Well, it's great because if you're doing it digitally, like you are, it respects all the archive rules, which is really important.
Exactly. Exactly.
You cannot start using original material if you're in an archive.
That's right.
The whole point is.
That's right. Now, what was it? Joe Orton used to hide stuff in the library, didn't they? Was it in Lewisham or somewhere?
Yeah, he was in Leicester.
I
think he did most of his work in London, North London.
Yeah, but they hid things in books and didn't tell anybody. It's one of the kind of, and there may well still be something hidden there. I'm kind of operating a little bit like that. Another one that I've got is I was approached by Lancaster Museum if I'd possibly do a project with them. So I suggested that I'd like to use the Maritime Museum, the museum, the Cottage Museum, the Judges' Quarters, and whatever else they've got. And we're trying to do is went to the Maritime Museum. They would be made aware there was some more stuff somewhere else in the city. So it would kind of encourage people to not just go to the Maritime, but think, oh, well, let's go and have a look for some more of this stuff in the cottage and kind of hide them in these various venues. I did a kind of vaguely similar project in the Algarve 2 years ago, which was based on future archaeology. What will we find?
What will they find? Looking back, like speculative sort of.
Yeah. So I spent about 18 months, not solidly, and made about 250 things, like bits of Lego hidden in blocks of concrete, all sorts of things, toys, combs, beer cans, toothbrushes, you name it. And then I persuaded museums in the Algarve to take project in Castle or whatever. You knew that there was more work in Lulé or Salir, and so it was to kind of encourage people to go to different museums, and also to kind of get kids interested. So whilst parents are kind of maybe wandering about around the museum, the kids can go on this kind of mad hunt looking for these crazy objects that are hidden in the museum. So that's when I did, and that's still running. I mean, it wasn't intended to run for this long, but every time I contact the directors of the museums and say, "Do you want me to take it away?" No, we're quite happy. We're quite happy here. We're fine. They're not a problem, because they're all hidden in all the cases with all the kind of Islamic pots and all sorts of stuff. These mad little objects hidden in all these cases. People kind of scratch their head and like, well, what the hell's that? And then they're given a leaflet by the museum about explaining what it's about in English. I think it's in English, French, Portuguese. So that's been a lot of fun doing that.
Oh, it's very inspirational ideas as well, Charlie. It's very inspirational as well for someone like me who likes to. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way. They want to just get going on stuff and put their own little projects together and make their own little mad inventions. That without it being a huge theoretical sort of 90-page essay that they have to write before they get going. It's lovely to work from the materials themselves and from the stories that come from just where you are without having to have huge.
But interestingly enough, the museum project kind of started. I caught the tail end of a Radio 4 kind of science program, and there's a professor who's a geologist at the university in Leicester, has been making what he calls pseudo fossils in similar kind of way to
lovely.
So I contacted him and asked him about his project and asked him if he would mind if I kind of started making my own fossils, and he said, yeah, why not? What a good idea. So that kind of got me going on it. And I think I'm also quite lucky that in Lule, in the city, because I've done a lot of projects in the town, I know kind of like the chief of culture, and I know the chief archaeologist, and it does help open a few doors. So when I talked about this project with them, they said, "Oh, well, I'll email them for you." So again, I was quite happy to do it all myself, but I got so much help from people that I know without having. Well, I didn't even ask. They just said, "Yeah, we'll do that." So that's how that kind of started. And the problem with the museum one was COVID came along, like it affected everything. So it didn't happen when it should have happened, but it didn't really matter. It's still running.
Excellent. Yeah. All these fascinating buildings and fascinating things, pseudo fossils. I love speculative history and speculative makings. I wonder whether I like it more because I've spent so much time, or whether it's my own interest in history and kind of like know stuff.
Yeah.
History in the sense of all these stories about how things have been in different times, all these people's stories and all these objects that are collected in different ways.
Yeah.
And that makes you want to be even more speculative. Your interest in the real stuff, it kind of
And also we kind of forget that a lot of things in museums were people's personal possessions. Somebody owned them, somebody cooked with them, somebody wore them, somebody did things with them. They're now kind of stuck in time. They're stuck in this, this kind of like vacuum called a museum.
I think whatever persuasion you are in your mind about how the world's organized and whatever you do, it's tempting to fix things according to your ways of seeing things. And that's why people get so hung up as well on grammar and on the way things are in the world. Oh, you shouldn't have done this with that. And there's a lot of that stops you from playing about. And
but I think, it's, I mean, I'm in no way a writer. and I got into trouble at school for not writing very well because I don't use punctuation. And then I felt totally vindicated a number of years ago when I was reading José Saramago.
Mm.
He didn't use any either. So I thought, well, if he's not doing any, I'm just going to carry on not doing any. And there's another kind of project. I did the Stone Raft, which is an amazing story about the Iberian Peninsula, how it breaks away from mainland Europe and floats away to the Azores, and
No.
the adventures in a De Chevaux car. I don't know whether you've read it.
I haven't read it, but that sounds like my kind of book.
Yeah. It's. I was given the chance to do a huge mural in Portugal. The first one was on the side of a shippon, and I did a different story by Saramago, The Lost Island. And then the guy that owned the barn said, would you like to use the other side? So I said, yes. So I started on The Stone Raft, which is the novel. And he's also been a patron of mine. He died, unfortunately, 2 or 3 years ago. And he had an enormous art centre near where we live. And I've done lots of projects with him. And he said to me one day, you can have this wall. And it was 75 metres long. Why don't you carry on the Stone Raft story on that wall? So I did. So I spent 4 months going down there every day, painting this crazy mural that started. And I also added other people into it. I added Alice in Wonderland, and on the car's journey across Spain, etc. I used David Hockney's, Mulholland Drive. So Mulholland Drive is the road that they follow. But in the story, the people and all the characters in the story follow a dog that has a little piece of blue string in its mouth. And when they get to Lisbon, they drive around Lisbon, and Lisbon's got 7 hills. And, so I had a great time. So I invented bits of the story when I got, because they gave me a dog kennel as a studio. I mean, I say dog kennel, it was a huge kind of tiled, black and white tiled, kind of almost like kind of Bauhaus sort of place. And I've got a paste table in there and all my paints. And I'd sit there with my sketchbook. And each morning I'd decide what I was going to do that morning. So I didn't know what I was going to do from one day to the next. So it kind of like the story stopped at the end of the day. And when I went back, I carried on the story and kind of went a bit further down the wall. And it was quite scary because this guy, as I say, was a patron. And he said to me, I'd like to pay you to do this project. And I thought, well, I don't really want to be paid because he's a friend. So what do you do? And he insisted, and I spoke to his wife, because he didn't speak a word of English and I speak very little Portuguese, but we got on really well. And she said, I said, can I just kind of give him a figure? I think it was like 50 euros a day or something, or less than that. And he seemed quite happy with it. So he paid me at the end of every week, whatever it was. And then as the 3 months was getting to the end, and we got like a few days before the end, he said, Charlie, the project finishes on this date. After that date, I'm not paying you.
Right.
You do it in your own time. So I said, no, fine. I'd have done it for nothing anyway.
Yeah.
Which was the crazy thing. But this guy was very.
That's what he wanted. People are like that sometimes because they have their own moral ethic code that they live by, and they want. But he was to mess with that, with your way of being. It's not going to necessarily be the same as his way of operating in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants
that's right.
respect, doesn't? And I think that's really great because we do need to respect each other, and whatever that means.
But he's an interesting character. He was a colonel in the Portuguese army, and he saw active service in Angola. So he's a real soldier.
Wow.
But he was also an artist in his own right.
Wow.
He was also incredibly wealthy. You've heard of Kintaglago. His family owned all the land.
Aye. Yeah.
So money was no object. But that's not the point. The point is we got on really well together.
Exactly.
And that was what it was. That's what it was about. We just had such a good time together. And his idea of whatever, when I was doing one of the first murals up out in one of the country houses that he owned, 12 o'clock, you stop for lunch. So we had a Mercedes van that was covered in these kind of photographic stickers, and they were all of another one of my murals that I'd done for him. So the Mercedes van was covered in my paintings. So 12 o'clock, lunch, into the van, and he loved classical music, and he played it loud. And as we drove back into town, he'd go faster and faster and faster. The music got louder and louder and louder, and we'd shoot into some cafe. And I used to try and pay, and the booker wouldn't let me. He'd sneak off and pay before we got to the end of the meal. And I'd even try and pay before we sat down.
Yeah.
I just couldn't beat him at it. It was kind of like a game that we played. And then 12, 1 o'clock, back in the van, back to work. 5 o'clock, finish. And so we had this kind of mad relationship. And I just curated a big show to celebrate his life in Lulé, in an old church come monastery. And the City Hall supported the entire project for me, let me do what the hell I liked. And so we put this huge show on of all his work, with video, music, all sorts of things. So it was a kind of thank you from me to him, even though he wasn't there. Because the bugger, excuse my language, I wanted to organise a show of his work when he was alive. So I'd persuade him to say yes. And then I go and see City Hall and say, Zephyr said, yes, he'll do it. And then I go and see him 2 weeks later and he says to me, I'm not doing it. Oh, so I couldn't persuade him, he just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And this went on for 2 or 3 years. So it took his death for us to get the show. But I wanted him there. I didn't want him not there. I wanted him there.
Yeah, that's a story I've heard in different guises from people who want to celebrate their friends. So sometimes when people, especially when they're older, sometimes they don't want all the fuss or something.
No.
Point, but I'm just thinking of stories I've heard about people trying to celebrate people.
Exactly.
And they and ah, and they love the fact you want to do it, but they also don't want to just go through the mess of doing it, the sort of
So I think in this guy's case, he had a real love-hate relationship with City Hall. It was like it was like World War III with him sometimes. With him, it was like it was a toe to toe, head to. It was really quite fractious. So to actually get him to say yes was a major breakthrough. But then he changed his mind, and I thought, back to the drawing board. I'll try and ask him again in another 6 months when he's in a good mood. But it wasn't to be. Yeah.
Oh, there's so many stories, but I guess we should talk a bit about the shed, because it's going now. It's another thing that you're doing to. Well, it's very generous of you to sort of celebrate people as well who were around in a way, letting them have a bit of exposure that is like about not just about one thing that they're doing, but it's a way of bringing together some different aspects of work, tying them together like a retrospective, but not
I mean, it was. I mean, we both know we've been to so many exhibitions. We've taken part in so many exhibitions, and you get rows of stuff on the wall no text, no signposts, nothing to give you a clue apart from your own nous or whatever you might have to kind of understand sometimes what you're looking at. And we're involved in the business. And I wanted to kind of, this shed idea has been in my head for several years. And I just thought, nice idea to have somewhere that's insignificant. It hasn't got any kind of street cred. It's not anything. It's just a shed. And I wanted to tell people in a way their story, so it doesn't, and I don't follow a kind of line, a linear line, but I try and just put things together that kind of vaguely appeal to me, obviously in discussion with the people I've worked with. So when people look at a few images on the shed and read some text, it hopefully gives them a little bit of an insight into where that person's coming from. And then if you look at some sketchbooks or a little video that they've done or whatever it might be, it kind of, hopefully it kind of makes the viewing of that person's work more complete. It's not just go to the exhibition, have a glass of wine, walk about, look at the work or not really look at the work, and then go home. You might go back, but you might not. But the shed idea with it kind of, it's a bit of a joke really, because yes, it exists physically in my garden. And yes, I do put some work in it, but it's only for a very short time. So Kavitha had her poems in my shed. I photograph them, then I take them down. Because I don't want them to get damp, but it's not damp, it's dry. And I wouldn't want anybody's work in the shed and it got nicked for safety. But nobody knows it's there anyway. And so basically the whole thing happens on Facebook. That's where it is. It's on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of using Facebook because Facebook isn't a serious place. So Facebook's for kind of like ticks and likes and dogs and all sorts of other things.
It's a scroll through kind of place rather than a dig place.
Yeah. And I've kind of chosen to do that on purpose because it did cross my mind to do it, have the shed as a web page, but somehow I didn't really like the idea of a web page, not because it was cumbersome, but because yes, it is cumbersome, and it's not instant, and I can't change things like I can quickly change things on Facebook, so that I can sit and kind of vaguely plan a post. And then before I post it, I'll look through it and think, no, I'll take those out. I'm putting these in now, but it's gone. It's done. I'll take that sentence out and I do it, as quick as that. And that's, I like that kind of immediacy that I can kind of bring to it rather than it get, very formal. So, yeah, but the shed was sitting in my garden for 3 years doing nothing whilst I fiddled about thinking about it.
I love it because it flashes past people and you can, you can reach people a little bit more, but not necessarily like in any inconvenient way for them. They can take it or leave it. And it can sort of touch them and maybe it will sort of spark something off, but you've got no idea of knowing what that is. I mean, okay, somebody might tick or like it and that's what you see, but in actual fact in their head, it might be a whole lot more. It might be a butterfly wing.
But also the other aspects of it that I didn't really twig when I started, because the first person it won't happen to, but the next person it happened to. So the second person that was on, a post from the previous show would pop up in the middle of theirs because somebody had gone backwards and said, I like this photo. So once you like that photo, it reappears in the current thing. So you get this kind of strange kind of overlap. So it's not just the month of one person and then the month of another. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to find something from show 1 or show 3 and make a comment, because that comment will appear in show 6, out of the blue, no control. There it is, pop, and it's something from somewhere else. And I like that idea. Suddenly,
I like that, but I think it's also sort of grown a bit like a garden, and I think it's grown like a garden because of also your curiosity or your connection with people that you've picked. So it very much comes from your way of working in the world.
yeah.
And because I mean, first of all, was on John, somebody who we both really like as a person, and who is a really interesting artist, who's had a really interesting life. He's done interesting things, got interesting things to say, as well as being like a very, his works also super, and you can, all that color and paper and texture and abstractness that he digs in.
And then out of the blue, Willy Wonka.
The Willy Wonka thing, I know that was something on the show that kind of came up from my little rambling shows as well.
Yeah.
When he came on the radio show, he told me all about having made the flowers for Willy Wonka.
Yeah, and I found a little snippet of that very actor eating them.
Eating the
flowers, and John had said to me that, you know, he had to intervene to say to the director, "I'm sorry, mate, I haven't got any more. I didn't make any more."
Yeah, and
it's the last one.
I can't remember his name. Famous Willy Wonka.
Yeah. I can't remember just offhand.
With the big eyes.
But I've also but I'm not going to tell you who's on next, because that's tomorrow. But I suppose, what I'm trying to do is reflect the people that I know, even though one or two people I don't physically know, but I do know them, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, because I don't think we've actually met in person, although
we never have.
Well,
we never have.
But we have kind of, because we put ourselves out there and we talk like we talk.
Exactly, and you know, these, the mad little collages that I've done, and things that you do, and I kind of watch what you've done on Instagram and listen to you playing your tunes and listen to Bobby Bluff, and there's a kind of, you build up kind of those kind of relationships, like Xavier with my wife Hilary from Facebook, and then we end up going staying with them. It's just this kind of wonderful kind of world of opportunities that kind of pop up.
It is, and it shows you that it is actually very positive to post stuff, as long as it's kind of honest from your life, and in the sense of you're not pretending that you're somebody you're not. You're not putting on some fake identity and trying to con the world, but you're just your business.
Without giving anything away, the next one is quite different. It doesn't really tell you anything, does it? It's quite different.
Now for something completely different.
Yes, and then I've got another. September's already not organised, but I know who it is for September, and that is again totally different. I can let you into one little secret. There probably won't be any written text.
Okay.
And that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And
just
I've got
something it's not, rather than anything that it is.
Yes. And when it happens, I'll be able to kind of not explain, but kind of hint as to why that is. And it also gives me a chance to explore another way of doing an exhibition, which is a kind of a bit of a challenge for me, because, when having had worked with Kavitha, because she's equally an academic as she is a visual artist, but I have to be aware that to try and get a balance when I'm putting something together to present to people, there's got to be some kind of balance between intellectual content and something that maybe is purely visual, but also to inform viewers that there is a content behind these illustrations or this work. There's a poem, there's a story, there's something. Because if you just see things hanging on a wall, you know, like the Pooh stories, 100 drawings, because I curated a show of those in Portugal, and they looked incredible in a row on one wall, 100 pieces of work just down one wall. It just looked so good. And I made little captions in English and Portuguese for each one, but they were very small, so they didn't kind of get in the way of that piece of that little exhibition.
It's a definite relationship between text and of work. Anyway, you bring me a mind of thoughts that I often have and conversations that I often have about that relationship of the text, the work. I mean, it's different things in different locations, but it's definitely something to think about. And I love it when people get very creative with it and they do something that I haven't seen before. Like my friend recently, she did some handwritten cards about things that were going through her mind, and she wrote it not quite like poems because they weren't as kind of considered as what we usually think of as poems. That are very a lot of expectations from formal poetry, but yeah, she just sort of slightly mind dumped on these cards, but in a well, she has an interesting and a selective mind, but it's open. Which she had lovely, and in her own lovely handwriting that wasn't posh handwriting. It was just a nice hand.
But when you've got that kind of, when you've got something handwritten, you've got that autographic. You know that those words and those letters were made by somebody's hand, which is quite different to a typewriter or whatever.
And it made it really much herself. And it although she'd made it, sort of designed it so that there was an echo, she'd done it all on the same type of paper and the same sort of length. It wasn't very randomized in that way. Also didn't look like she'd written it out a million times and copied, and refined everything down to be this perfect card. And it gave a real nice continuity as well.
Yeah, because I've been kind of working over the years on little digital collages. I think there's one, I can't remember the names of them, Possible Poems or Day and Night. There's all sorts of mad projects that I've got, little albums that I do on. I do digital collages every day. I've got thousands of them. What I've started to do for the last 2 years is put them on Facebook, and I'll start a sentence and then invite people to finish them. I've had the most amazing responses. I mean, absolutely fantastic. And what I do is I steal them and collage other people's sentences together, and I'll use that sentence on another digital collage. And the sentences.
Chinese whispers a bit, isn't it? Oh, not Chinese whispers, but what's the other one game where you draw a head and then you have the shoulders and then someone else?
Exquisite Corpse.
Yeah, it's a little bit surrealist kind of game, isn't it?
Yeah. But but I love it because it throws up other things. But also, I mean, I probably haven't said this to anybody. The sentences that I write on my digital collages have got absolutely nothing to do with the collages. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
That's I'm aware of. And there may well be subliminally or whatever. But what's fascinating is the way that people pick up on them and probably, and so I just steal them.
That's what.
And I'm collecting those just like I do when I cut up books with a pair of scissors. And I just play about with those.
So Charlie Holt, I think we're coming to the end of our.
Oh, we've talked for too long.
No, it's just telling me this is like not too long, but I think maybe we'll let it go this time.
Yeah.
And we can.
So what do you do next? What's the plan next? What do you?
Well, for this is I'll go on the radio show, so I'll edit it up and in a very loose way because I don't really edit too much. Very loose edit. I'll put some sounds on so you can send me anything you want as well. If you send it me before Thursday, I'll have it as an MP3 or similar. I can use a couple of sounds or a couple of ideas. if we want. Otherwise, I can just put some slightly randomized. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what I'll put for sound for this show.
Well,
Sometimes,
no, yeah, look, Jude, I really just do what you like.
yeah,
You know, it's fine by me, because then A, it's a surprise for me, A, it's a surprise for you, and just treat whatever you do just like one of my collages, like
right.
one of my kind of mad events. You just have fun with it, edit it, do what you like with it, cut out what you like. I mean, I really don't have any. I don't have any strong feelings about anything. Just do it. Just have you.
Oh, that's super, because then I can have some fun. And also, I tend to put the Zoom rushes, if that's okay, up on my YouTube now, because I feel like it's an archive. That's all, really. So that if anybody's interested in any guests, there'll be the archive there.
Yeah. Because that's kind of interesting, because it's a radio program. It's obviously non-visual.
Yeah.
But what's nice is, I mean, I've been talking with my hands all the time, haven't I? And I've been, and so you've got this kind of visual thing that kind of reinforces the words that you're actually using. It's kind of, yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because in normal circumstances, if I'm trying to get an exhibition or doing what I'm doing, I used to have a box of slides or do a presentation on, on your laptop or whatever. You've got visuals to say, well, these are the ideas and this is the work. Look at it, click, and you can look, and it's kind of that connection's not there, but it doesn't matter.
No, it's nice that it's audio. It's a kind of old-fashioned way. It's a beautiful thing, because also you can listen while you're. I mean, I suppose it'd be better if it came out of your radio in the corner of your room while you were in your workshop. That would be the ideal. But you can do that now. You just put your computer there and use that.
But I'm really fascinated to hear what you do. Just make it as random as you like and as logical as you like. I'm really just make a collage. Please do.
Yeah, I will. Maybe I will, but I probably won't go as far as with a total collage, because I want people to hear the journey on this one. That's what it's about. But in the future, one could do it. It would be quite nice for my Christmas show to do a random collage from all my shows together, and really.
Yeah, so they got ding 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 ding.
Yeah, that would be a thing to do. Maybe I'll do that. You've inspired me for that, because usually there's one show at Christmas. You want to do something a bit different, so that could be very cool.
Yeah, it's been great. I really enjoyed chatting with you. Rambling on.
I really love finding out all about all your stuff. It's great.
Well, so do I, because I don't talk about it.
That's
because we don't do it. We just do it. It's only when somebody like you comes along and says, well, what about this? Well, what about that? And you talk. I mean, I think we're probably both the same. I have internal conversations all the time. I talk to myself. I'm not mad, but I talk to myself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm always talking to myself, or my dog, or my boyfriend is like, shut up. But that's the thing. You can't dump on the same person all the time. You have to restrain that. That monologue.
So quickly, whilst we're just for a minute, when I do your bash in July, I'll try and make a little list of things that I think I want, and feel free to add what you would like to add, and I'll want some text from you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and it can be as academic as you like, or it can be somewhere in between, some degree in between. Some whatever. And you'll probably get
not too journalistic.
You'll probably get annoying little emails from me all the time saying, I want one of those. Can I have one of these? Can I have another picture of that? So because that's the way I work. I couldn't ask you for 12 things and stick to it.
It suits me, and I totally understand it. And if I don't do it, it'll only for a bit. I will do it a bit later, because do you know what I mean? Because